Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 3 in a series between Duckloadra and Virus Naama here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. We have Duckloadra spawning as the red Protoss on the north side of the map. Meanwhile, we have Virus Naama spawning over here as the green Terran. So this is going to be Terran versus Protoss here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. And already it looks like there is not going to be any cheese play, so it should be a pretty standard game. Now, according to Team Liquid's matchup of just most recent games played between Terran versus Protoss, there is a very small advantage for Protoss. The last time I checked, it's probably like 53-47. So this map doesn't really favor any particular race. So we'll see how these players will try to play it out. Recently, we also have seen a lot of use of these high ground, what I'll call high ground plateaus, where Terran players are able to place down siege tanks and get a lot of damage. And normally that's used against Zerg players, not against Protoss, as Protoss are able to blink with Stalkers and be able to deal a lot of damage in that particular route. Now we are going to be seeing Duckloadra warp in a warp gate here, or excuse me, a gateway, and now begin his scouting. Naama, on the other hand, pretty much doing a standard build. Refinery should be underway. There you go. Nothing too out of the ordinary there, as we should be also getting an assimilator over here in just a moment. There it is. And then we should also be getting a pylon as soon as there's enough minerals free and this game gets underway. So SCV now making its way down the ramp in order to scout. And the timing on this SCV, pretty standard. Nothing really to talk about there. Now, as the probe wanders around, and whenever you scout your opponent, what you're really looking for is not only in their positioning, which a lot of players try to figure out, you also need to know what particular build orders they go for. The higher up players, certain players, as soon as you get higher and higher up, you can start to identify what builds they are trying to use, just because there's only so many efficient builds. Now, you may think, what do you mean so many efficient builds? Now, basically, certain builds require early gas, certain builds require additional minerals, and because of that, you know what type of build your opponent is trying to go for based upon what they are currently have in their base. If you see an early double racks with no gas, you obviously know that your opponent is trying to train up a lot of Marines, just because he's not going to be able to get any tech labs. But yeah, I'm talking a little bit too much strategy, and let me just get back into this game. If you guys want a strategy video, let me know, and I'll try to start doing some more strategy videos as well. Duckloadra now sitting at 26/34 food. Meanwhile, we are sitting at 19 or 20/27. So that is a very, very low amount of food coming in from Virus Naama so far. He is getting a Reaper. And what this Reaper will allow him to do is it will allow him to get a lot of, map and site control on what is happening. It is also very effective at dealing with early Zealot and Probe harassment. A Stalker probably should be joining in on the fight as well. As soon as this Reaper comes out, though, that Reaper will just be able to shoot down, kill the Probe, kill the Zealot very, very easily. But no, the Reaper does not want to engage. It looks like the Reaper not going to engage at all. And now that one bunker has an SCV on the inside for no real reason other than the stick inside there, the Reaper now going to make its way and now try to scout out to see what exactly Duckloadra is doing. You do see that there's a bunker on the front door, and a bunker on the front door is more than enough to handle a Probe, a Zealot, and a Stalker, especially as this Probe now, or this Reaper now getting some damage, going to take down that one particular unit. Is he going to? Yes, he's looked like he's going to get some damage onto that sentry and able to shoot it down, and that is a very, very efficient trade. Sentries are very expensive units. A total resources of 150. You can see that the Stalker now is going to try to intercept that Reaper on the way home, but the Reaper, being very, very smart, now just going to perhaps kite another Zealot. And that is huge. If he can actually get another Zealot kill, Naama will be able to have traded 300 resources for 100. But no, unable to get the final shots off on that Zealot, and the Zealot has been destroyed. So there you go. 200 resources lost by both players so far. Siege tanks with Siege Tech now being built, and it looks as though Naama going into much more macro style of play, as this command center is now nearing completion. Most likely will upgrade to an orbital command before moving out, as sentries are being built by Duckloadra. So Duckloadra doing the 3-gate expansion with sentries. Those sentries are going to get a lot of energy onto them to share and use Guardian Shields and Force Fields. You can see more sentries still being added to the party there as a very, very decent-sized army. You can see total resources, what, 1,075 versus 750. So a slight army advantage by Duckload, as also a slight worker advantage as well. Nexus about to be completed. Pylon now warping in along the backside, making sure that no units are going to be coming in along the backside there, as Naama is still sticking into one base play. He is going into a starport now with the tech lab, still adding up some Marines, and I'm curious as to what Naama is going to be doing with these units. Siege tanks up on the high ground, and now perhaps another siege tank here to try and protect this expansion. The expansion would be able to take some damage by stalkers over here, but the siege tanks with range would be more than enough to at least offer some protection. I know a lot of Terran players like to put down additional barracks here in order to make sure that there's only really one walkway and this back entrance inside their base, and they can focus their defenses much, much better. We are getting 2 additional bunkers now in play as Naama attempts to secure his natural expansion. Back over here, Duckloadra chrono boosting a Nexus that doesn't have anything on the inside. A little bit of a miscue there. As a Protoss player, you never want to chrono boost a building that has nothing inside it. You're just wasting energy, and essentially in this instance, wasting a lot of minerals, or wasting some minerals as a probe could have already been trained and started to mine as well. Missile turret quickly sniping down an observer there, so the losses are starting to get a little bit higher for Duckloadra, as Duckloadra losing an observer, but I think an earlier scouting zealot was destroyed as well. That stalker getting 3 kills, don't remember what those kills all were, as Duckloadra now attempting to expand into another location here, the low ground expansion, and also getting a lot of zealots into a warp prism. This is a very, very nice style of play. I do not normally see very many warp prism drops, and Duckloadra has been known to be unconventional and try new strategies and new things. This one Banshee, however, they are going to pass each other in just a moment, and there you go. There's the warp prism, there's the Banshee. Both players know that they have to be on the defense. Are we getting an observer out? Yes, an observer, and now stalkers coming over to reinforce what would have been potentially a very, very effective Banshee drop. The Marines and Marauders now coming over as well to try to deal with this Zealot drop. And the Zealots are now going to drop it, and oh, there you go. Those units are going to be able to force away that Warp Prism. Warp Prism is very low on shields. And the Stalkers now coming in as well, getting damage onto that Banshee. But now the Banshees are going to be able to just try to run away down to 20 hit points, and there it goes. So that Observer getting able to reveal that Banshee and destroying it. The Warp Prism now returning back home, realizing that it was not able to get any serious damage, but he was at least able to intercept that one Banshee and then force it to turn around. There is a probe over here, and also trying to stay away from this one particular Xel'Naga Watchtower. No, guess not. Gonna fly straight into it, getting some damage onto that one particular Stalker, and now an Observer gonna make its way over, and that is not gonna be good at all, as the Stalkers have Blink now chasing after that Banshee. The Banshee does not fly that quickly, and the Banshee's days are numbered. As you can see, that Banshee trying to run away. Another round of Blink, and down goes that Banshee there. So yeah, not very effective at all, but now in comes a drop of Zealots straight into the mineral line, trying to get some damage, and oh, Zealots just dropping into different portions, causing a lot of splash damage. That was nicely done. That siege tank actually destroyed more of those Zealots than anything else, as this one Warp Prism now tries to run away. Stalkers are coming over to help, as well as perhaps the Stalkers are going to get picked up and get, oh, now warp in units along this backside, get some damage onto these supply depots here. And with those reinforcements coming in, it's going to be very, very difficult for Naama to really do anything about this. A Banshee now making its way over. There is one Observer nearby, but the Observer has to be very careful, otherwise that missile turret may be able to shoot it down. It looks like it's within range, but it really is not, as the Marines, and oh, blinking away, the Warp Prism needs to run away, and very, very lucky that the Marines and the Marauders did not come over far enough to see that Warp Prism. Otherwise, that Warp Prism would have been easily destroyed. You can see a line of gateways down over here, a 7 gateway plus a robotics facility. Colossi are slowly being added, and Duckloadra taking his time. He does have a very large army at this stage, and as long as he doesn't needlessly sacrifice it. He should be able to pull off the win on or here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Back over here, Orbital Command is already up and running, training up and trying to train up more SCVs. Perhaps it will set up an expansion here or here as well. Just a matter of time as the Banshees out in the field looking for a new and fresh target. Stalkers looking to find those Banshees and perhaps try to intercept. It doesn't look like this group of Stalkers is going to be able to get that much damage off. One Marine stimming in and quickly getting destroyed. It looks like he wanted to try to scout down this location here, but Duckloadra able to intercept that, and now the Banshees are going to make their way over. Banshees going to quickly come across this, and now one Photon Cannon up on that high ground is going to be able to reveal those particular units. Oh, this one unit over here, as now the Photon Cannon coming in, and those Banshees have to be very, very careful. The Banshees now need to be careful, and able to get some damage onto those units, trying to stim, but didn't realize that they were stimming straight into a no-sight zone on those units. Where is an observer? An observer now making a very slow trek. Doesn't the observer know that the pylon is going to get destroyed because he is so lazy? Banshees now finally blinking in as that observer finally got to its destination. Command center, an orbital command now being laid down at the gold mineral patches. Very interesting strategy, as normally you want a planetary fortress at the gold mineral patch, especially against gateway units. Gateway units tend to take a lot of damage from a planetary fortress, especially if it has the +1 range. I don't think that Naama is going to be researching the auto-tracking anytime soon, but it would be an interesting sight to see as Marines and Marines and siege tanks are going to battle it out over here. There is going to be a battle. We are going to try to move some siege tanks perhaps off into this location here, but no, keeping those siege tanks very, very far away. Colossi now coming in from the other side as well. So this is going to become a very interesting flank as a Banshee looks to try to destroy Duckloadra's Colossi. Is not able to get there in time, as Duckloadra now establishing an expansion at the 3 o'clock location as well. So yes, going to be expanding all over the place as a Viking now on patrol, trying to make sure that no warp prisms do any drop harassment anytime soon. Stalkers once again on the move, making sure to stay out of sight. No, not out of sight there. You can see the majority of that army there as the Stalkers are maybe able to blink up very, very easily. There you go, blinking up. Some of the Stalkers being left behind though, as the Colossi simply just move inside this base. However, we are now going to see Naama not caring about his base at all, and there's not that many units here. Duckloadra has to be careful. He needs to get some force fields down here before they cross that gap. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very bad day. And you can see Duckloadra, is he going to do anything with those units? No, not quite yet, as both sides are just laying waste to each other in just a moment. Stalkers now coming over on the back door. The Stalkers can perhaps blink across and now get some damage onto the siege tanks. Down it goes over here, as both sides are just rushing to deal as much damage as possible. Marines and siege tanks, there is a force field preventing any units from coming up that ramp, and the force field may be the key in stopping this. There is one Nexus and a siege tank battling it out over here, and now all the units just running all the way home as the Colossi now taking down the fusion core. I don't think we had a battlecruiser ever trained. No battlecruiser ever trained, as the units are now making their way out. The orbital command able to lift off, and now both sides losing a majority of their production buildings. This is now becoming a base race, and generally base races favor Terran players, as the missile turrets and Stalkers down over here are going to be a little bit of an issue. We are getting some additional gateways, the Twilight Council and a pylon. I do not see a Cybernetics core just quite yet, as the Ghosts are now trying to engage the Sentries, battling it out, trying to get as much damage as possible. And it looks like that Sentry is just going to get easily shut down there, as this Nexus is also down. More probes need to be gathered in. Duckloadra is in trouble, as those Stalkers are now going to try to come back in and try to get more damage, taking down those missile turrets, but the siege tanks are going to be able to gain sight and now start blasting back. This is a very well-fortified location for Naama. Unfortunately for Naama, though, there's not many minerals left. So although he will be able to defend this expansion, there's not much really sitting here. One Stalker being left behind to try to deal more and more damage, finishing off the engineering base and those supply depots. The command center most likely will be landing in just a second, as the Terran player Naama still sitting on 2,400 minerals, getting as many supply depots up and running as possible. And you can now see that he's no longer supply locked, But this is going to be very, very interesting as the bunker now over here. Siege tanks are going to be able to start getting some damage in as the Colossi need to pull back before they actually take some serious damage. There you go, some critical damage was actually dealt as the Stalker continuing to finish off this location here and this location here. So Naama not out of the woods just quite yet. He does have a lot of supply depots down over here that are now burning as an army of Stalkers trying to defend this expansion. Taking a look at the unit comment or the income, 16 harvesters compared to 23. The Protoss definitely has an advantage. I'm not quite sure why Duckloadra isn't chrono boosting this. He needs to get as many Protoss as possible. But in comes a Banshee. The Banshee, blinking over just a little bit too late, could have easily taken down that one particular Banshee and one Observer. That is all that stops, is all the difference between these battles so far. Zealots now finishing off the armory over here. It looks like the armory research will not be completed in time. There is still the robotics bay and a lot of pylons here. And now we finally see some SCVs doing some long distance mining here in order to get even more minerals. Naama definitely in trouble as there is not much left over here. And now the Colossi making their way over. There are these siege tanks, and what we really need to see now is we really need to see a Stargate with Void Rays. The Void Rays would be able to have their way with these units very, very easily. There's not that many Marines, and if there are enough Marines, and if they try to get within combat range, they would just simply get destroyed in a matter of seconds anyways by those extended thermal range Colossi. Duckloadra definitely has the advantage. 8,000, almost, oh no, a 9,000 resource army compared to only a 4,200, so more than twice the size. As we now should be getting a Nexus down over here as well. Yes, another Nexus down over here. Colossus still could be trained. Not quite sure what Duckloadra is waiting for. He needs to get a Stargate or something in order to deal with those siege tanks. And whenever there's a very, very strong siege tank line, I always highly suggest Void Rays, especially as the Void Rays would be able to get around this point defense drone. A point defense drone is not able to intercept the Void Ray attack, the Void Ray's prismatic beam. Stalkers now on the move, simply walking through, finishing it off, and almost shooting down that last one particular Banshee there. The Stalkers now do need to back off as the siege tank on the low ground going to get destroyed. EMP Shockwave coming in, as now those Stalkers are going to just try to retreat, perhaps moving the lower hit point Stalkers to the back. The shields are currently regenerating as that Banshee is currently decloaking and just trying to stay close enough within those point defense drones. Those point defense drones able to intercept 40 points of damage. That is going to be very, very dangerous as the Banshee trying to get some damage and unable to do so. The Stalkers, however, taking a fair amount of damage and now backing off once again. We do have this Nexus over here. Duckloadra, as long as he's able to contain his opponent doesn't have much left at all. Naama down to 20 harvesters. And are they all sitting here? No, the harvesters now trying to make their way over here again. The Stalkers now coming in, able to finish off another mule. So once again, denying resources. Colossus, and now we also have High Templar joining in on this fight as the siege tanks. Oh no, the Colossi just taking a shelling once again. Need to pull back. Is enough damage going to be dealt is the key question. And now, if a Psystorm is perhaps cast on top of those units before an EMP Shockwave gets off, that is going to be a very, very difficult thing for Naama to deal with, as Psystorm deals, I believe, 80 damage across its radius there, and all of these units are not going to be able to move for quite some time. But now we do see an army of 4 Banshees now coming in, and this is a problem. 4 Banshees now coming in, no real way to reinforce. High Templars now making their way over as well. Are they going to be able to Psystorm? No, not going to be able to Psystorm. They are going to try to feedback though, and then one feedback, or did it feedback the same target? Oh, that was a mistake there. No, feedbacking another target, and now merging into an Archon. That Archon would be able to just detract against any serious damage at all, as those Banshees now once again try to run away. There is still High Templars down here. No Psystorm research yet, production-wise about to be completed, as those Banshees looking to find their target. Those Psystorm about to be completed. Is it going to find its target in time is the key question. The Siege Tanks now making their way out. High Templar need to get off a Psystorm. Is it going to... Oh, EMP Shockwave, beautifully done. And now the Archons now merging once again. The Colossi desperately trying to run away. This Archon going to get destroyed. 8,000 versus a 4,400 as Naama slowly clawing his way back into this game. There is an Archon still sitting over here as well as these siege tanks are trying to make their way out. A Void Ray is all it needs in order to try to win this battle here, as the Stalkers could easily take down this one particular missile turret. Down it goes, and now the siege tanks need to make their way back up onto that high ground. The Stalkers could easily blink up, followed by those Colossus, and I think that would be enough to shut down Naama. Naama does not have the ability to really retrain his tech. There is currently a lot of minerals and not that much gas. Not quite sure why, as now we are getting perhaps some Dark Templars into production as well. No Dark Templars in production yet, but we do have a Dark Shrine, a 4-4 unit, and now in come the Stalkers. Stalkers are trying to blink in. Both sides are battling it out. The Stalkers need to continue to push their way forward, get as much damage as possible. And now Naama taking a load of damage, and Psystorm hitting multiple Banshees, as the Stalkers are now going to try to finish off the rest of this fight there. The Banshees are now trying to back off. There is, one High Templar left as those units are continuing to battle it out. We have 4 Banshees in the air. The Banshees are now desperately trying to run away. There's another siege tank coming in. Another Colossus has been taken down. Only one left as the Observer now pulling back, and there's the GG by Naama. So Naama losing game 3 in this matchup. And unfortunately, that's all the games I have. So I don't know if I cast the games out of order, or if this was a best of 3 series. Naama took the first 2, and they decided to play one for fun. But yeah, Duckloadra losing to Naama 2-1 in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Duckloadra and Naama here on Metalopolis.